Hi, good morning. You guys think it's early? How you doing? Shake it out, get a little loose, land here maybe. Like Silly was saying, thank you so much to all those people, Ziva especially. What a gorgeous place that we're hanging out in. I'm Stuart Getty. I'm a writer. I'm a filmmaker. I thought about making 30 minutes of films and just sitting in the audience and watching it with you, because this is sort of nerve-wracking. I'm shaking a little. I write and direct. I use they and them pronouns. I identify as genderqueer, gender fluid. What does they and them pronouns mean? I work in male-dominated industries. I work in film and advertising. Sadly, they still are male-dominated, but we're working on it. And so what do I try to do? I try to show up really authentically. I try to tell my story authentically. So that's what I'm doing here today. Tell you a little bit about myself and then obviously seg into compassion. I tried to point out oppressive behaviors within these industries. I invite you guys, every single one of you, to do the same. And also someone else was supposed to be here talking to you about compassion, but they bailed. So since I have so much compassion for Design Week, Creative Mornings, and Silly, and for all of the planning that takes place for these sort of things, here I am. And I said yes because as I started thinking about it, compassion might actually be the future. Oh my gosh, imagine that. So first things first, I'm gonna make you watch one of my films. It was a web series that I was so honored that my job at Sockeye, where I am a senior content creator and a digital strategist, which are fancy words for I write and make film and work in the social realm very much. They believed in this project enough and let me go out into the world and interview people about my family, my partner, and it gives me chills. I hope that you guys like it, and it will seg into compassion, I promise.
What does they mean to me? They means, what does they mean to me?
Have you ever heard of the genderqueer? No.
Except for when my mom told me that you wanted to be called they.
Have you heard of the word they being used for people?
Only through you.
I have a little bit, but mostly through you.
And do you have trouble with it?
I do.
Yeah.
Why?
It just doesn't seem to make sense for an individual, for a single person.
So many people are so confused by it and I think frightened by it, but once they start hearing about it and hearing personal stories, people really quickly, I found, become empathetic.
That's kind of funny because you were both.
Yeah, I mean, we fight for your cause, even though, like, when Mom says to me, it's just not something I'm going to put into my language, my vocabulary. I say, well, the more you hear it, the more easily it flows.
Do you think that you can call me they?
I don't know.
I could work on it.
It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. We use it all the time in normal speech when we don't know the gender of a person. And if you start looking for it, you'll see where you do it in your normal speech.
Well, it's a weird pronoun. It's not easy. I've said you're a copywriter, makes something easier. I understand the legal terms, legalese, like why we're taking it on.
It's not weird. It's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's weird.
Yeah.
For me not to be able to call you my sister is very heartbreaking. And I don't like doing it. I say sibling to be appropriate to you, but I think of you as my sister, even if you weren't, like, ever a sister.
It will be difficult to call you they because I only had one child.
It is grammatically correct. It is. There's like absolutely no doubt about the fact that it is grammatically correct. It was the Merriam-Webster Word of the Year in 2015.
Can we ask you questions?
Yeah.
What does Nora think of they?
How do I feel about using they and dating a they? Well, I love you and I love dating you and I love your gender. It just makes sense. Like I've told my friends, like I have friends who have said to me, I'm really worried about getting Stuart's pronouns wrong. And what I've told them is once you meet them, you will be able to tell that, you know, that they is the most appropriate pronoun. Like it makes so much more sense than he or she. And it's just not hard.
I can try. I can call you anything because I think I really know who you are. Okay? And that's more important than what you're called.
I mean, I just want to say another thank you to Sockeye because, you know, that was made through an agency that was like, yes, put that message out into the world. And I just think that's dope. So I work there. It's tight. So how do we segment compassion from they? Well, I am finding compassion for your strife with it, with saying, what is this word? What is they? I learned that they was the plural pronoun. You're one person, you're asking me to change this way that my brain, but my grammar, I would get grammar red marks on a paper if I did that. Like, what? And then I'm asked to have compassion for you guys and back and forth. And I think that's how it works. Compassion is a two-way street. So you'll see that in what we do today. But it really does depend who you ask. So I looked at so much about compassion. I looked at Western definitions. We live in the Western culture. Western culture defines it sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes or other, or a feeling of deep sympathy or empathy for another who is stricken by misfortune. So the downtrodden. I've noticed that most of Merriam-Webster, all of the dictionaries that we all, you know, go to when we're like, what's another word for that? It all puts it as it has to be someone that's having a hard time. Compassion is someone that's having a hard time. We look at the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is one of the most popular and influential texts in Buddhism. And it has a central theme of the celebration of the powerful and boundless compassion. So I loved their definition of this. And I put it on black with white letters so it's dramatic. Compassion is the expression of a liberated heart that pervades all corners of the universe, relieving anguish, pain, and suffering wherever it touches. Damn, like this one gave me chills because I like read this and I was like, man, can you imagine putting that sort of like intention and vibe into those moments where like you're trying to merge and that person like won't let you over and you're just like, what, dude? Like seriously, this is what merging's about. Like really though. We had that this morning and I was like, compassion for you. You're on your way to work, it's rushy. Yeah. So that's where I started. I just wanted to start looking at what is compassion. So I asked some people, most of them at Sockeye. A big shout out to them again.
I think compassion is when the heart softens and we let people in.
I feel like compassion and empathy and sympathy kind of all get mixed up in my head a little bit.
Compassion is the ability to listen and hold space for someone else's experience, knowing that we might not understand it, but still creating the space for them to have their experience without us taking it on.
To me, compassion is thinking of other people before yourself.
I mean, I think it's being able to sympathize with someone and see where they're coming from and what they're feeling and connecting on that level.
When you can find the path to compassion for everyone, because everyone has their shit. It's not just how the media or how pop culture or whoever defines who should we feel compassionate for. Remember back in the 80s when everyone was so compassionate about Ethiopia?
Right.
Now we don't give a shit about Ethiopia.
Yeah.
They're still starving there, I'm sure.
I know, why do we...
Why did that all of a
Sally
sudden...
Struthers.
Yeah.
Sally Struthers.
We have been raised in this society where we do things for other people because that's what makes us good people.
Putting yourself in their shoes, I guess, which is such a tired cliche, but it's so true.
And trying to find similarities even with people that are really different from you.
I feel like if people could be as welcoming and kind with each other as they are to dogs, it would be a much better place.
To me, what it meant to me before I looked it up was more like being able to put yourself in someone else's position and understand them, like on an emotional or more like feel in a feely way.
A feely way. Let's get feely. Not like touching each other, unless that's with consent, of course. So this is where I was gonna ask you guys, do you guys have preconceived notions of what you think compassion is? This is why I made a video. Popcorn, say it out, do it, be brave. With passion, yes. Having perspective. Openness, yes, love that. Openness of heart, which is a really good seg to getting feely. So when I was talking to all these people about what is compassion, something that people kept coming back to was that compassion toward others starts with compassion for yourself. So self-compassion. When you image search self-compassion, these are some of the good ones. Because I was getting some, I mean, there's a seal, otter. That one's really, it's an otter, excuse me. Please have compassion for me. I got that wrong. But also, compassion seems really cozy, you know, in the left looks, and this one's pretty good too. So when I ask you guys to have compassion, please put the arm downward, thank you. And those 3 hairs, I love that. So this was my favorite one, actually. I'm gonna ask you guys to do an exercise of self-compassion. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. If you don't, you're freaked out by that, don't. So get comfortable and ground. Ground into knowing that you are alive, that you're human, that you're here in Ziba Auditorium on a Friday, that you're listening to my voice. Take a few deep breaths. Start noticing sounds besides me. Notice how you feel. Notice whatever comes up. Just concentrate on breathing. Take a couple deep breaths. Now, if you can, bring to mind a mistake that you've made, a failure, something you said wrong, something that when you look back on it, you wish you could have done differently. Maybe think of something about yourself that you always bring up as you want to change. Notice how that feels. Notice where it sits in your body. Breathe into that. Locate these sensations and let them be. Don't try to push them out. Just be with those discomfort. Be with the discomfort. Be with the things that you don't like. Really, really concentrate on that thing or those things that you wish you could change. Now place one or both of your hands gently over your heart. See if you can be moved emotionally by this experience of feeling bad about yourself. Repeat silently or to yourself with me. I will say it a few times. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself exactly as I am. May I be compassionate with myself. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. May I be compassionate with myself. Notice how this feels in your body. Notice if it feels good. Notice if you just want me to stop. Have compassion with that urgency to keep going. This is an uncomfortable thing I'm making you do. You're sitting with your eyes closed in the morning on a Friday. Every human being has these feelings of inadequacy. I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. I'm going to screw up today and look at you guys for 20 minutes without saying a word. Remember that every single one of us feels this. And see if you can start to send some of these same wishes of peace and compassion out into the world from this place of loving even those parts of yourself. You can open your eyes. I love this graphic on the side because I think about this a lot, about how if we treated ourselves the way that we treat our best friends, we probably wouldn't say the shit that we say to ourselves in our heads. Thanks, Kristen Neff. So this is called Creative Mornings. This isn't called Compassion Buddhism Meditation Visualization Morning. So I wanted to try to get this to our work because I'm a writer and I'm a filmmaker, and I can't think of doing my job without having compassion. When I got, a couple months ago, we had someone bail on compassion. Can you do compassion? I thought, writing and filmmaking and design and creative enterprises, those feel so much like compassion is such the root. So I wanted to speak to some creatives about such things.
Yeah, I look for work that opens my heart.
In terms of work, I think that compassion is important. With commercial work, it's like understanding who you're talking to and what they feel about things.
I think that that's what design is. It's being able to step outside of yourself and see somebody else's perspective and where they're coming from and what they're feeling, what they hope to accomplish, and to really be able to understand that in order to create a solution that is something that resonates with them and resonates with other people.
You work with a lot of different people, you encounter a lot of different people on a day-to-day basis, and just we all can find similarities.
And as a designer, I think that design is compassion. Going to a fine arts school, I feel like there's always this back and forth between fine art and design. And, a lot of people talk about design as being the sellout, and fine art is like the true expression. But I really believe that design is more compassionate just because you are thinking, you're not making this for yourself. You're not doing this like, this is what I want to make. You're making it for others to consume and to read and experience and to make their lives easier and better and happier. And so, I think compassion, informs a lot of what I do as a designer, because I'm always thinking about, the audience, how are they going to experience this and how's it going to make their life better.
But in terms of more like artistic work, I think it is important to think about what other people are feeling so that you can communicate with them, because you can't really express yourself in a way that's meaningful if you don't know what other people are thinking or feeling.
Sweet. Big thanks to all the people that are in that video that are also in this room. Except for that dog, man, dang. Thanks. So, as I was saying, I believe that compassion begins from within. So I had you guys sort of sit with that and try to feel that. So I want to try something else, which is compassion for others. So this is where it gets a little risky, guys. I'm like, if I'll just walk back to this white wall and you don't see me anymore. Yeah. No, so I think it's great to feel that for ourselves, but right now, especially in this world, doesn't it feel like we should reach out and try to find compassion for others? So I want to try this exercise. Turn to someone next to you. Make eye contact. I see some of you aren't doing this. I have compassion for you. I have compassion for that. Yes, meet each other. Fantastic. Awesome. Eye contact. Eye contact. Okay. Ask them to tell you something that happened recently that they don't love. Maybe that mistake or failure that was in their mind, have them tell it to you. Don't talk back, just listen to this. Don't interject, just nod, smile. I did it wrong when I asked you, when I got so mad at you about not understanding. I didn't do it right. And I feel such like shame and guilt about it. So when they are done, tell them, may you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be kind to yourself. May you accept yourself just as you are. May you be compassionate with yourself. They're doing it. Awesome. All right, guys. I don't mean to cut you off. I think there's a little mingle time at the end. This is awesome. Honestly, in my head, when I pictured this part, I pictured everyone going. So I made you do that because some of you guys are strangers, some of you guys know each other, so you spoke to people that you know, but maybe you said stuff that you might not have normally delved into. Maybe you met someone in this moment that you've never talked to before. Maybe you didn't do it, and that's chill too. You don't have to do it. You are your best authority, first and foremost. So I'm trying to seg this to the bigger piece because this is what gives me chills. This is what makes me say yes to do a talk like this, is that the world right now, Jesus. No, but like seriously though, the world right now, y'all, it's really sad how divided we are, most of us probably have pretty similar political beliefs, but there's differences here that, even in this room of creative professionals, like some of us believe different ways. So, I don't know. I just am leaving you with this thought of, remember that definition of compassion that was like taking and healing the sorrow and the despair and anything bad that we can heal in this world, just taking those moments of that stupid merge or that thing you didn't say right to your partner. I'm really sorry. Or at a bigger scale, when, at the white supremacist rally, I got chased by a dude with a Confederate flag. And I'm trying to figure out how I could have had compassion for him in that moment. Because it was really scary. I was shaking. But looking back on it, like, what if I had tried to say, you probably are scared too, man. Like, that's why you're here. You're scared. You're coming from a place of fear. I didn't do that. I said lots of mean shit. Let's be real. But looking back on it, I thought, man, if I could just come to some place of seeing this humanness or this mistake or this error in this person, maybe that's what heals it all. Maybe that's where we're all headed. Maybe that's the transcendence that gets it away from us versus them and into just all of us. So I'm going to leave you guys with this kind of long quote, and I'll read it. But when I read this, it became the reason why I did this talk. It became the reason why I talked about self-compassion. We are dedicated doers and fixers, especially us. When we encounter pain, we automatically think in terms of finding a solution. But something profound happens in your heart when you turn with kindness toward all the circumstances of pain you have previously repressed, dismissed, or fled from. There's a softening, an opening, a deepening capacity, and willingness to understand sorrow and its cause. You come to know that your willingness to be present with pain is the midwife to compassion. Turning towards sorrow in your own life opens your eyes to the immense suffering in the world. Your heart opens to all those whose lives are governed by terror, violence, hunger, dispossession. Curiously, you do not become depressed or separate or overwhelmed. Instead, you begin to shed some of the isolation and painful separateness born of the compulsion to defend and protect yourself. The cries of the world are also your cries. You are bonded with others in the shared yearning to be free from pain and sorrow. Wow, right? That I really would recommend reading that book because it's amazing. But that's where I leave you. Compassion has the power to transform. And I think right now you have to act as if you were responsible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. So I invite you guys to take some of that feeling that you felt in your heart, some of that feeling when you were sharing with someone that you may or may not have known, or you said stuff that you may or may not have said before. And I invite you to take that into the hardest moments of your lives, into the easiest, into the creative moments, into the most banal when you're doing taxes or whatever. I invite you to just take some of this with you, and I hope that maybe just this teeny, teeny, teeny part heals a little bit of the world that way.